All right. So Shannon, in the role of being a coach,
Yeah,
do you need to be Superman? Do you need to temper your ego?
question.
How do you ride that wave?
Yeah, that's a good. And that's why I wanted to ask you this week and talk to you, bring up this subject of coaches and courses.
Okay.
Because, I go back and forth because sometimes they get a bad rap. But, in my life, most of the time I've benefited, significantly from both those things. And
Except when we've had them as guests on this show.
yeah, now why is that? Is it okay? So let's back that up. That's an excellent point. So, okay, what makes a good coach, right? What is it? Is it their ability to ramp their ego up and down? Is it more just like, I always think it's what their experience. Like, we hired a coach when we were publishing our first small business guide, right? I forget her name, but she was terrific.
It was through I forget the name of the self-publishing school,
something at school,
and her name was Lise, Lise,
Yeah,
but
that's right,
but
Lise.
she doesn't work there anymore.
Do that anymore. But what I loved about it is that she focused on her credibility and shared, here's all the books I published, and we could instantly see, like, okay, she's done this, so we should listen to her. And it wasn't, I see a lot of 25-year-old life coaches on X. Let's just say that, okay? And we'll use that as the example. That's the opposite, where I wouldn't necessarily, or I get people in my DMs saying, hey, I can get you X number of this and X number of that. And then you go look at their account and you're like, what? How could, that's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. Yeah.
So
you could do this for yourself first, buddy.
Correct. You haven't. Yeah. So a good coach would be somebody that's done it, right? Do they have to do the exact thing they're coaching you on?
See, I think it depends on what it is.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think this is true because for like the self-publishing school, that was handy and necessary for the person coaching us to know the subject matter.
Yes. Okay.
Right? For that specific type of thing, yes. But other types of coaches, I consider a therapist a coach in a sense.
Yeah.
And
a coach a therapist. Right?
And a coach a therapist, right? They can serve the same purpose, or similar purposes at least. And I've always felt that part of, I don't want to dismiss therapists. That's not the intention of what I'm about to say. Part of the value of therapy is that you pay for it. And therefore you are engaged, right? And so I think that's also part of the value of coaching. It doesn't mean that it works with any coach, bad or good, or any therapist, bad or good. But I think part of the value is you've got to be engaged. And usually paying for something makes you more engaged. There can be other reasons, of course.
Yeah.
But with therapy, if you've got a therapist that is good, now they would have had, by nature of them being able to call themselves and work as a therapist,
some training.
They would have some training, so they would have the experience. Maybe not with your specific issues that you need to work through or whatever, same as a coach, but some experience. Like, for example, you've got some people that are, paying you to be their coach with their business. Well, doesn't mean you've run a business like theirs, but you've run enough businesses that you have the ability to look with your business brain at things. So,
and that's a good point because paying for it, but then also, like, training, is it, as I'm developing this coaching and people are asking me to advise them, I don't have any training as a coach.
Right.
Right. But is that, I don't know that the person that coached us had any training. I've hired coaches. I hired just like a mindset coach, and it was more, they guided me through some, curriculum that they had developed. Yep. And I found it incredibly useful. And it's almost like you're reading a book that's very important and offers some different framework, maybe like the E-Myth. and you're paying the author to talk to you in between chapters, right? And
so I'm you're helping me crystallize what I believe is important in a coach.
That's what I want to do. Great. That's exactly what I want to do here, is to understand it.
Because I think having the knowledge base is not the most important thing.
Okay.
I think having experience with coaching or a natural demeanor that is sort of geared towards being a teacher. I think like there are some people that are super knowledgeable and terrible teachers.
So the ability to teach, great communication, right?
Yeah, well, and empathy and the ability to understand what you need next. Like, to me, that's what makes a good teacher, is knowing, and it's best if they sort of intuitively know this. Yeah. But certainly, I suppose it can be trained into you, and you can identify things like, oh, okay, I see where this person's going. They're going to need X next. But if the person, almost the lack of an ego, to go back to our intro topic here, right, where it's not about the coach, it's about the person being coached. And so what can I do to help you? Not what can I tell you about how great I am?
No,
you know what I mean? Like, because in the scenario with Lise, who coached us through self-publishing school, she did a lot, she knew a lot, and she was an okay coach. But a lot of times it defaulted to, well, here's what I did in this scenario.
Yeah.
As opposed to, let me apply what I know to your scenario. We never got that kind of thing from it, but we did get valuable things because she had valuable knowledge, and she was good.
She shared it
at sharing that. Right.
She was.
And so I think that's like step one for being a good coach. Yeah. But I think it can ratchet up from there. But the intuitiveness or the awareness of, I know what you need to know next.
Well, and I'll flip that. As a client of a coach, it's imperative for you to tell the coach exactly what your definition of success is going to be.
Yes.
I'm hiring you because I want to learn maybe this specific thing, or I need help with these things, right?
See, I think as a client going in and saying, I need to learn this specific thing, is selling yourself short. You are going to train the coach in the wrong way. Because my question, if I were your coach and I were a good coach, my question, the first thing I would say, if you said, all right, I'm hiring you, Dave, because I want you to teach me about Wi-Fi networks. Okay, great. My very next question would be, why? What is your end goal here? Is it that you want to know about Wi-Fi networks, or do you want to get a Wi-Fi network up and running at your house? Or do you want to be someone that goes out and fixes other people's Wi-Fi networks?
Those are different, very different
things.
Yeah, very different things.
Correct. And I have the knowledge, and the same, like there's a core knowledge base there that would be perfectly applicable to both. I don't know of a way to mind meld that to you. And so it's better for me if I know why you want this knowledge and how you want to apply it, because I can teach you. Like, teaching you how to do it at home is very different than teaching you how to convince other people to do it the right way, right? Because half of that job is, even if you're not making money on the stuff that they're using, half of that job is convincing them to trust you.
Of course. You're selling yourself.
Yes.
Like everything else.
Like everything else.
But if your coach, your
coach is selling themselves too.
Yeah, because you're trying to connect with them, and they got you. You're trying to be credible and offer, and offer value. And I think that's, it's crucial. And I think it's the same thing on the courses side. Who's preparing this course? Look, what have they done?
Yes.
Is it, because you can drop stuff in AI and get a course in 30 seconds now, right? So if you're,
but that's not where the value is.
No, the value is, hey, this is how I did something. These are all the things I learned along the way. If you want to be where I am, and you're X months or X years behind, this is how I can help you get to this point.